And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win? Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Hansel? I think it's Fahans. There was one other person too, but I think it might have actually been the same person under a different name, and I don't know why. I thought I wrote it down, but whatever. I will, if you did give me the suggestion, just let me know in the comments below. But Emperor Belos versus Lord Zedd. Two main players, two main villains with their own respective series, the Owl House and Power Rangers. Both extremely powerful masters of evil, but both are very different in their methodologies. Lord Zedd is said to be over 10,000 years old, and he's essentially the big bad that replaced Rita in the series. And I always remembered him as a kid. Like, I remember Rita. Don't get me wrong. I definitely remember Rita. And I did off and on watch Power Rangers after the original series. But the one that always stood out to me was Lord Zedd. He has a very unique design because it's like he's basically a human being with these metallic parts embedded in him, minus the fact that he's missing his skin on his flesh. Lord Zedd is extremely powerful, though he's nowhere near the top dog of the Power Rangers universe. He's said to be either on par or possibly a little bit stronger than Zordon. He has super strength. He is a master magician and growth bombs, which allow his monsters to grow. Capable of creating thunderstorms on the moon. He was capable of also doing electrical shocks. He's a very powerful magician, so general magic is well within his capabilities. He's used like mental shock blasts from his brain before. He has enhanced senses, monster creation, lightning empowerment. Apparently being hit by lightning will actually charge himself back up. Telepathic communication. So he is a powerful magician, but he's actually not without a lot of weaknesses, believe it or not. Now, he is also an expert tactician, a master of hand-to-hand combat, as he was able to go toe-to-toe with, was it the White Ranger at the time? Tommy was the White Ranger? I can't remember. In fact, he could actually straight out beat the Power Rangers on his own without too much difficulty. He is a skilled weapon designer, as he created Serpentera, which is to date the largest Zord in the entire Power Rangers universe, and arguably one of the strongest, if not the most powerful, save for its low energy supply. Serpentera, mind you, had the power to literally destroy a planet if given the opportunity. He does have some weaknesses, though. For example, he's bound by the laws of nature. So an example of this was Zordon in one episode, The Ninja Encounter Part 2, and I am reading this verbatim, explains that when the writer tried to explain why he couldn't just use his magic to germinate these terror blossom seeds without needing a heat source. So basically, he still needs to abide by the laws of nature, more or less. He's also very reliant on that staff he has, his Z staff. Without it, he can't use his magic. And if it's broken, he is unable to fight or cast spells, meaning that he would basically have to retreat. Granted, I'm not exactly sure if he can't still fight hand-to-hand, or if he literally just has to retreat. And he's vulnerable to compliance collars, not that it would matter here. He usually has a Z staff, which again has lightning generation, mind control capabilities, vaporizing into things on Earth. He actually vaporized Rita's wand, which basically made her, to lack of a better term, putty in his hands. Capable of resurrection on more than one occasion, though that is through outside forces. Though he can resurrect others as well. He is capable of using curses as being a skilled magician. And several curses include like the ability to affect a pair of sunglasses and make the wearer see everyone around them as a putty, or causing you to move one way when you're trying to move another. I'm just using an example of that one. He's also capable of making his monsters grow. He has standard abilities like energy fields, fireballs, laser energy. He has Serpentera, as I said. The Void Saber, which is his own personal weapon he tried to kill. He took from the Void Knight's personal weapon. He took it from the Void Knight. It was stopped by Reginald before he could strike. Interesting. Again, I am reading some of the more updated, more in-depth stuff because I'm not a well-versed I watched Power Rangers, but I'm not well-versed, especially with like the modern era. Sleepy Cuffs. What are Sleepy Cuffs? Used to put 4 of the 5 Dino Rangers into a sleep-like state. Interesting. Sporex Generator. Plan to create his own army of Sporex beasts. And Master Captivator. Stored inside to assume his master. Whatever. Point being, Lord Zedd's still very powerful. But I would say this is a clap, but this is not one I would have put in the speed round because I think they would have a bit of an exchange. Belos has a lot more variety under his belt. What do I mean by that? He has what's called glyph magic. I'm not a proponent, I'm not a watcher of Owl House, so keep that in mind. But I am aware of its existence, so I did have to look into and read up on Belos. And I've heard Belos' name a couple times before. Belos is skilled in what's called glyph magic. Basically, you can draw and create glyphs after learning from his natural surroundings. And now, glyph, if you don't know what a glyph is a magical symbol. It could be like a letter, a number, or some sort of shape that is used to represent magic of some kind. And it's usually a type of element. Particularly, he can use plant glyphs, ice glyphs, fire glyphs, light glyphs, portal glyphs, which is very impressive. Transform himself into anything standing on it to wherever he wishes. The problem is that the glyphs do cause, basically, how they describe it as malignant side effects on his body, resulting in his arm pulsating and swelling whenever the glyphs try to activate, and thus intensifying the physical injuries he sustains. Should note that the image I see here is one of his more normal forms. He is kind of devolved in the series a little bit to be more kind of like a demonic looking demon Groot. Not really a tree individual, but something like that. He also apparently, after assuming the identity of Belos, he became a practitioner of artificial magic, which along with the Golden Guard. Belos does not perform basic spells like the spell circles and achieves magic through an apparatus, such as using his mechanical staff or with other devices he has on call. In spite of this, Belos is adept in this practice, achieving vast amounts of skill, power, knowledge with artificial magic that he is described as, let me read that again real quick. And knowledge with artificial magic that he is described as the most skilled and most powerful witch that has ever lived. Interestingly, Majesty is unaffected by Les's cape or whatever. That wouldn't matter. Which, this magic allows him telekinesis. Flesh magic, which is just a lovely sounding technique. The ability to polymorph Belos is similar to Jean-Luc's ability to polymorph. He's able to create and command fleshy tendrils and bend and form claws. Teleportation magic capable of disappearing by melting into the floor to avoid attacks. Earth magic. He's able to raise sharp spikes from the sharp spikes of rock up from the ground. And even petrified people. He can turn them to stone simply by touching them. Beast summoning large monsters during his fight. Mind magic is some kind of spell, witch staff, which made Edna regain consciousness, but didn't make her transform back into her regular. Interesting. I don't know how this mind magic really plays a factor. Glamour. He can cosmetically alter his appearance. Resident omniscience. He's aware of everything that happens in his castle. If this fight takes place in the castle, he'd have resident omniscience. Telepathy. He can basically read minds if he needs to. Active longevity. He is known to have lived quite a long time, having arrived during the early 17th century and meaning his end in the 21st century. That is, if you're counting there, folks, 400 plus years. As such, he appears only to be about 60 or 70 during the events of the series, although his exact age, nor the means of which he has accomplished this, is unknown. Let's see. He has sludge form. This is the one I was talking about. The plasma-based condition caused him to transform to a sludge or sludge-like monstrosity. Now, granted, his sludge form does give him sludge manipulation, kind of like a Clayface, really. Shape-shifting. He's also capable of possession by transferring his sludge-like essence into another living being. He can influence them and induce hallucinations that cause his victim to see and hear him as if he's present. With enough time passed, he has gained control of the host itself. He's also got insane regeneration because of this. Viscous body can mend and reform himself from any physical injury he sustains, though he still feels pain from physical distortions his body undergoes. Belos says regeneration is unknown, but after he was violently thrown to a wall by the Collector, a vestige of Belos remained active enough to follow Luz and her friends to the human realm. He would then go on to possess Hunter and several animals, getting more energy until Belos regained his physical form once more. He can regenerate from seemingly indefinitely as long as his head remains intact. So kind of the Piccolo scenario. Finally, he has mold breath, which when in his new gained draconic form, he has the newly acquired ability to breathe a volatile flame-like gas that can affect and spread mold. That can infect and spread his mold anything it touches. That sentence structure did not make sense, folks. This allows him to spread himself quickly over the Isles to help his aid to terraform the lifeless wastelands. He can also annihilate any living thing that is bathed in the flames, causing them to be overwhelmed by sludgy growths and evaporate in the light. So, excuse me. On a power level scale, Zedd might have the overall raw power due to the fact that he's capable of creating just a freaking mass F-off thunderstorm. However, Belos actually, I think, has the more variety with his actual spells and techniques. This is because he has access to pretty much all the base elements, more or less. Again, plant, ice, fire, light, portal. I mean, let me put it this way. He also has earth magic as well. So he's got earth, he's got fire, he's got ice, not water, but ice. Does not seem to have wind, but he also has plant and light, small orbs of light to make up for that. He can literally turn individuals to stone. So if he ever gets his hands on Zedd, Zedd is done. Like, Zedd doesn't have a counter to that. Zedd also has the weakness of his staff. If his staff is gone, if he loses his staff is destroyed, he's kaput. Like, there's nothing he can do in this fight at that point. But Zedd was capable of creating a planet-ending robot called Serpentera. Now, the only problem with Serpentera is it has a very low battery life. So, in theory, Zedd could win the fight, but if he doesn't do it with Serpentera runs out. This gives then Belos the chance to come in for, the coup de grace, if you will. I would have to assume in the sludge form, he still has access to all his original powers. Same with his draconic form. So, and because his sludge form has a much better regeneration, he's going to be harder to put down ultimately than Zedd is, provided his head remains intact. Now, because Zedd is a good tactician, this means he might be able to clutch that weakness given enough time and given enough analysis. There we go, analysis. But here's the thing: in terms of if their powers even like cancel each other out, telepathy is going to cancel each other out. Mind magic going to cancel each other out. Telekinesis. Zedd, if I remember reading this correctly, I don't believe he had telekinesis. So that is a ability. He has teleportation, but so does Belos. So no, telekinesis is something that Belos has over Zedd. Excuse me. Flesh magic is something that's very unique. Summoning monsters, they both can summon monsters. Those are going to cancel each other out. Then again, sludge form, sludge manipulation, possession. I don't think he could possess Zedd. So this, again, comes down to the amount of power, who can take more, and more versatility. Amount of power definitely goes to Zedd. I don't think anyone can argue that. Versatility is either a wash or going to lean towards Belos a bit more. But then if we're going towards durability, that would go to Belos. Like, Zedd can't take the kind of hits, theoretically, that Belos can and keep going. Whereas Belos, as long as his head intact, could literally lose his entire body and still survive. So it's a tough call. Oh man, my computer's lagging a little bit. I don't know why it does. I don't know why it's been doing that as of late. I really don't. It's like I've got encoding overloaded right now. Consider turning down the video settings. Maybe if I get rid of like the desktop audio, maybe I do that. I might turn down the volume on my computer. Maybe that will do it. Because maybe that's what maybe I'm just overloading the, maybe if I just turn it down a bit. Yeah, maybe I'm just overloading, like, say, the microphone on my computer or something like that. And I'm just making sure Yeah, I'm doing it again. I'm not sure why this is the case right now, where I'm got this major lag going on. I didn't used to have this. But either way, I would say if I were to break this, if I were to say attrition, because that's what it would come down to, a battle of power and attrition, I would probably go with Zedd. And it really just comes down to, even though Belos has the durability, Zedd has the overwhelming power. The ability to create a giant thunderstorm on the moon is not a level of power that Belos really has, or at least demonstrated at all, as far as I can find here. Add on to the fact that if Zedd gets really annoyed with this guy, he can just bring out Serpentera. Yes, he doesn't have Serpentera in the modern storytelling. I know that, but by all accounts, we should give him Serpentera just for the fight, because it was something at his disposal. And so, I don't know what this lag is about. I really don't. I gotta look into what's going on here with the lagging. But regardless, because he has a Zord that can blow up a planet if it really needs to, or at least wipe out a city minimum, at the barest of minimums, then I would say that Belos really doesn't have anything to stop that, unless he decides to teleport out of the way. If he teleports either onto Serpentera's cockpit, or Zedd's throne room, and surprises Zedd with petrifying, it's surprise! That could work. I just don't know if he'd have the forethought to do it. He has the forethought of, I need to teleport. Where am I going to teleport? I don't know if he's going to be able to survive that in time. So I think I'd go with Zedd. I initially said that I didn't think it was a stomp in Belos' favor, and I thought it was going to be more Belos. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, Zedd's raw power, I think, does surpass Belos. And I think when you're talking about magic and, attack potency, I think that matters. So my money would be on Zedd. Who do you got, though? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.